Okay, Jeff Kennett is with me. Coming up, the crime stats. We'll give you a breakdown suburb by suburb, and this lunatic on a motorbike, 273 kilometres an hour. But there's a couple of things I want to pick up with Jeff Kennett, having made it without interruption, a statement. Jeff Kennett, first, the club says, and I'll be a little bit of a devil's advocate here, not guilty of cheating because they didn't know, one, what was being used, or second, that it was outside the law, right? So they deny being guilty of cheating. Second, they don't know the side effects. And they say the side effects of the drugs they're aware of being given to the players and the supplements are negligible. The problem is we don't know all the substances given to them. And the other point you make, well, and I'd ask you a couple of questions.
Well, can I just answer one?
Yeah, okay.
Can I answer the first one first? In terms of saying they didn't cheat, they knew they were pushing the boundaries. They knew they were applying substances to their players that they didn't know what the substances were, let alone the side effects.
But they say they were conned.
Well, I'm sorry.
They take responsibility.
Sorry. If you're in charge of your children, or my children, or 44 other people's children, and you are having you agree to allow them to have substances applied to them, don't you think you'd ask those applying what the substances are and potentially even get them signed off by the club doctor or someone else? Now, that does not hold up. They cheated.
But this is where they admit to a failure of governance
and
control,
it's worse
but not
than
deliberate
government.
cheating.
This is why they're trying to say this thing, we've drawn a line in the sand. They haven't. They deliberately embarked upon a program to win a premiership. They deliberately applied substances to their players consistently, the contents of which they say they didn't know the side effects. Why were they doing that? They weren't doing it to grow their hair red. They were growing it to give themselves an advantage to try and win a premiership. They were cheating.
The other point you make, you said, like Lance Armstrong, the truth will come out. What are you suggesting?
Oh, well, because people will talk. They always do.
Are you suggesting something else has happened that we don't know?
No, I'm not suggesting that at all. What I am saying is over the passage of time, all of these players are going to write their books. There's going to be new things come out in order to sell them. The people who supplied the drugs are going to put their hands up and say, well, this thing from Mexico was actually donkey urine or whatever it was. It doesn't matter. Believe you me, in my short life, the one thing I've always found out is the truth always prevails. It may take time. And that's why I say for the Essendon players and family now, put aside the sponsors, supporters for a moment, think of the players and their families. They are going to live with this for the rest of their lives, not knowing if they cough up blood one day, whether that's a result of the substances they took. If someone has a heart attack at 56...
Yeah, but
I'm being realistic.
But let's be a little sensible on this.
Oh, this is sensible.
Well, no, I don't think we should be alarming players or parents because we simply
that's
don't
how the
know.
players are feeling now. That's how they're feeling now.
All right. Do you believe James Hird should come back after a year?
I was very strongly anti-Stephen Trigg coming back at Adelaide because Stephen Trigg was involved in a salary cap breach, quite deliberate, tried to cover it up. You're either pregnant or you're not pregnant. He shouldn't have come back. AFL made a big mistake in terms of governance. I don't think James Hird should. I think if Paul Little is serious about rebuilding the club, he starts today, but he starts with a commitment that all of those involved in what has taken place will not be part of the future. You cannot rebuild. The talk today is that James Hird is a wonderful person, and he may be. And yes, he was a wonderful player. But he and others have been involved in a situation which they cannot explain today, which was designed to give them an edge. And therefore, if Paul Little is serious about rebuilding Essendon, he's got to put personalities to one side and make sure, I would have thought, that those he employs from now on are free of any of the ramifications that may still emerge over this saga.
Hello, Peter.
Yeah, g'day, Jeff and Neil. How are you?
Well, thank you.
I just want to agree 100% in what you were saying, Jeff. You are dead spot on, and if they think this has ended, they've got another thing coming, because WADA and ASADA have very strict rules. They have rules that have been in place for years and years, and they don't go after clubs. They don't go after the coaches or anybody else. They will go after the players. Yep. And if the Essendon players don't re-sue that club for what they have injected into them, then, my God, we have missed the point here.
I think, Peter, I didn't touch on this because I didn't want to occupy all of my brief time on this session, but I have a feeling and a fear that what you're saying is absolutely correct. At the end of the day, WADA, I suspect, will come in over the top and say there is enough doubt, there has been an admittance of one substance. Can I also
Well,
suggest...
you're saying the players will be charged.
I fear that'll be the... I'm not blaming the players, please get me wrong, but the law is the law, according to WADA. Can I just make this point as a constructive suggestion? The AFL never wanted to be part of WADA. They had to be dragged, kicking and screaming. They were given the opportunity of the WADA rules applying to all people in the administration of AFL football, and they refused that. I actually think the AFL now ought to apply the WADA standards to everyone who's an employee within the code, so that covers coaches, it covers presidents, it covers everyone else.
But their drug policy does.
No, well, sorry, I'm saying WADA. I don't like the way they administer their drug policy. I don't like the way they administer breaches of their own code. It is too contradictory. At the moment, Neil, it's about your relations. Trigg should not be there. There's a whole...
About your relations? What do you mean?
Pardon?
About your relations?
Oh, it's the way in which the people at the head of the AFL have relationships with people within the clubs and the playing group, etc., etc. It's a boys' club, right? So if someone's a mate of yours, how can you go and rob a bank, be caught, and then be told, oh, but he's always been a good CEO, so we're going to put him back into the job?
But in fairness to the AFL, a deal's been negotiated here. It's no question. There's a deal.
Oh, absolutely.
And that has been done to keep it out of court and have it sorted out before the finals.
All right.
Is that right?
And no, look, I don't mind that. I'm just saying the penalties are contradictory. In my opinion, they're light. And I don't think, unless Paul Little and unless Mike Fitzpatrick review the way they run their individual organisations, I think things will just continue to simmer. I challenge them both to actually do what Paul would have done when running Toll and what Michael would have done when running his own business, Hastings. I mean, this is what happens to a lot of very smart people, and you're seeing it elsewhere. When people from the business community, and I was one, go into football, they seem to leave a lot of their standards and governance rules associated with their business life at the door, and they have a look at Paul Little. He's after the game last week, he was embracing and all the players. Now, a lot of emotion, but for goodness sake, his fundamental role is one of governance, to rebuild the club.
Hello, Frank. Yes, Frank.
Neil,
Go ahead.
Jeff, I totally agree with you, 101%. Not because I barrack for another side, because the game has been trashed.
Yep.
There's too much rust there. It needs to be scraped right off. If Essendon decide, like you said, to turn over a new leaf, nobody who has been involved in there, except the players, if they choose to stay, have to be in there, because that memory will be here for the rest of the playing field, and it's not right. We have to show some example.
Well, Frank, this is where I think Paul Little and Mike Fitzpatrick now have an opportunity to reinforce through leadership the sorts of levels of governance that apply to their own organisations. They haven't been doing it, with due respect. There's also...
I think you're a bit rough with the mates line, though. I mean, it's clear that Andrew Demetriou and James Stewart are hardly mates.
There wouldn't be... Pardon? Sorry?
It's clear that they're hardly mates.
They may not be mates now, but they were mates, and that's...
Well, the deal's been done.
What did I say to you in February? There was a breach of duty of care. They could have acted then, and half this thing would have been over with. We've fiddled around for 6 months. I don't think there's one listener here today who wouldn't agree with me that the AFL is run on a mates system, right? There wouldn't be one listener who doesn't think that Andrew Demetriou and others there have their mates whom they protect and source. Can I just finish on one point?
The only point I'm making here is in this whole Essendon business, that far from mateship, there's been a war going on here, and this is the reason for the negotiated settlement.
Well, the war has ended up, unfortunately, like a divorce. And you have well-orchestrated divorces, and there's some friendships here that have probably been broken for life.
Yep.
Because some tried to cheat.
Well, it's hard to accuse them of doing deals for mates when
the thing started out, instead of applying good governance straight away, they've tried to deal with it, and it's only got worse. There's one other call here from someone on the line. Can we go to Murray, please?
Yep, line 6, Murray. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, good morning, Neil and Jeff. I agree totally with what you got to say, Jeff, but the one thing is, even though I'm a Collingwood supporter, I'd like to know how Richmond goes on the weekend playing Essendon. Who's going to sort out all these points?
Well, I think that's fairly clear, but I want to make a point about this game this
Essendon's
weekend.
banned from the finals. That doesn't mean they can't take the points from Richmond.
No, they can still.
win.
Yeah, they could win, but they will be banned. Richmond's in the final, so they'll still play. I think Richmond will play to the best of their ability. I think Essendon will as well. I hope, because we tend to forget, I hope this weekend, and I'm not sure what day the game is.
Saturday, I think.
I hope that every
Saturday night.
Essendon supporter makes a special effort to get there. I know there'll be a lot of Richmond supporters. I ask them not to go there to support what has happened in the past or individuals who have been associated with the past. I hope they go there as a sign of confidence in their club and a signal to Paul Little to get your act together, to start from today to rebuild. We want a competitive, honest, open Essendon Football Club. The supporters do, the competition does. I hope the ground is packed with red and black, brown and yellow and black for Richmond. But Paul's got to make a big decision. If he's going to be welcoming back those who have been part of this progress, unfortunately, Essendon will not have started the rebuilding program. That is a fact.
Thank you for your time. Jeff Kennett.
Thank you. Have a good day.